you send your information to? I mean, just think about your business and who are you reaching out to?
There's marketing efforts, there's sales efforts, there's customer service efforts, all of those customer emotions and data, all live within the CRM.
For you to be a successful thought leader, you need to be somebody who is thought of when people think about your subject.
At Growth, we strive to do great business with companies who do great business.
And once again, welcome and everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. Really excited to have you guys here. And that does it. So, like I said, welcome in everybody. As more people join in, please go ahead and drop your name, where you're speaking from on the chat. My name is Rick, as always, the community manager here for Growth and the host of the micro lessons. I'm really excited to bring somebody who's a legend to me because I do a lot of LinkedIn engagement. So I'm going to be learning just as much as you guys. That's Alex Boyd. Alex, they're not here to hear from me. They're here to hear from you. So take it from here, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Yeah, it's been good hearing and watching you go through more of your journey for LinkedIn engagement as well. I'll try to follow along with comments if possible, if you leave them in the show notes. But yeah, so the engagement has become kind of the thing to do recently, I think, on LinkedIn, where people in the past, I think, were focused mostly on their posts, their connections, their outbound. A lot of the talk recently, last several months, has been more about you got to be putting more into the platform. You got to be doing more engagement for this to work. And I am also the founder of a LinkedIn engagement tool, but that was because I was doing this by hand and realized that it was kind of a pain in the ass to do by hand. So I needed a tool for myself, essentially, to make it better. And then it turned into the company that I'm the co-founder of now. So did you get any questions in advance that we want to make sure we cover from people before the show? Oh, wait, you're on mute.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, guys.
Nice. No
we do have a couple questions that were sent in ahead for the Q&A portion.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice. Well, so I think the most helpful way to go about this might be to go through like the routine, like some of the specifics of what to do if you're just getting started with this and thinking, okay, like I've heard I need to be doing LinkedIn engagement. How should that go? And then we'll talk about some of the call it the theory as we go. Okay, so let's say you're posting, I don't know, twice a week. It doesn't really matter. Just be consistent. The thing I recommend doing right as your post is going up is, whether you're doing this in Aware or on LinkedIn directly or however, to try to do time your comments with when your post is going up. So if your post is going up at 9:10 a.m., 9:15, start your commenting around 9 a.m. or something. So that way you've been logged into LinkedIn, doing activity, putting stuff out, like giving to the feed, to the network, to the algorithm, honestly, but also to your community. By the time your post goes up, more people are likely to see it. You're telling LinkedIn, I'm not here to just post and leave. I'm an active user on the platform. You're telling people, I'm also here supporting your content. When someone comments on your post, you're more likely to go and see what they've posted. You're also more likely to see their post in your feed. So you're creating that impression for everybody. Next question is, how much commenting should I do? Well, it's obviously faster to do it if you have something like Aware, but if you don't, get as much as you can done in 10 to 15 minutes. For me, that's usually about 20 comments. If I can do, let's say, maybe 10 or 15 comments before my post goes up, another 5 or 10 after it's up, that's usually plenty for me. And that helps my posts do better. We've seen, it's not, we don't have perfect data on this yet, but we're coming out with more soon, but we are seeing a correlation between people who do more engagement and people who get more engagement. This also matches what you see in LinkedIn's, developer docs, and they basically talk about how the LinkedIn network and algorithm is partly a karma system. So people who get more tend to be the ones that gave more. The problem is that people often have with this, if they say, okay, 20 comments, they'll spend like 10 minutes per comment. And that breaks down into like 4 minutes of scrolling to find the right post. another 1 minute of writing a comment, deleting it, overthinking it, another 1 minute of rewriting it, and then some distraction time, and that ends up becoming like an hour to do the 20 comments or even the 10 comments. So that's where the distraction part gets in, and it really takes you off your game, makes you feel like LinkedIn is, not helping your business essentially. Because if you're getting distracted with other stuff, with ads, with coming down a rabbit hole, with just seeing whatever LinkedIn's feed wants to show you, then you're not doing what you set out to do. You're not being intentional essentially. And the upshot of not being intentional isn't just some wishy-washy thing about your mindfulness on LinkedIn. It's just preventing you from doing as much good stuff. So if you were to be more intentional and do more commenting in less time, whether that's through a list you create on LinkedIn or Away or something else, then that's going to help out a ton with just, again, doing more without getting sucked into it. A lot of people I talk to are business owners or entrepreneurs or otherwise just busy people, like people who don't have 3+ hours a day to sit on LinkedIn. Some people do. Some people spend 6 to 8 hours a day on LinkedIn. I want to be the person to tell you that is completely unnecessary. And if you're hearing from some influencers that that's the way to the top, then it is one way to the top of engagement and impressions, but it's not really the top of the way to the top of revenue. What's much more important for revenue is engaging with the right people. So instead of just scrolling through to whatever LinkedIn wants to show you, the point of engaging should be, am I engaging with industry peers, with top prospects I want to work with people who referred me business in the past, people who I really respect, who respect me, or am I just engaging with whatever posts come through when I happen to scroll my mouse? So we want to be doing maybe 20 minutes max of engagement per day. We want to be doing it with the right people and avoiding the cycle of scrolling, which eventually leads to burnout within a few months. The burnout cycle is real. A lot of people start on LinkedIn, do it for a few months, and then just stop because it's not working, right? They're not seeing massive results. And that's usually because either their business isn't backing it up, they're spending too much time on LinkedIn, not enough on the actual business, meaning sales, delivery, product, running a business, or their LinkedIn activity is not targeted. And so they're going in the wrong direction. They're getting followers, but they're no sales. So more target engagement in less time is the key. Try to time it with when your post goes up, but additionally is fine too. You can do outside of that. And the last part is, literally, what do you say? So for this, if I share my screen, Riverside's going to pick it up, right? Okay, perfect. So I might just share my screen and do some live commenting to show you how I actually do it. Because I want to show a few things. Number one, it doesn't have to take a long time. And two, you can make it really, easy and not overthink it. Sometimes I'll spend a long time writing a comment, but often I just won't. First of all, you can see for the week, so Monday through Thursday, I'm at 137 comments written out of the goal of 50. So I'm way ahead of the game already. But I'm going to do, let's just say, a few more right now to show you how it works. So this is one of my lists. This is my, friends list for custom lists. I don't update this too often, but I can if I want to. So let's try it with Clay's post. Analytics are great for telling you stuff your customers already did. Got it. So I'm just reading the post, looking for essentially one thing to comment on, not everything. Right. Okay. Great. Okay. So that's one. That took, 12 seconds to write, maybe a few more seconds to look over. That's a good amount of time. You don't want to do too much more than that. Let's try another one. This is Ognyen's post about selling to founders. I'll read this one pretty quick. This one will do a question. All right. I might even sometimes, if I get a wild urge and I think, oh, that's a good post topic, I might check this box and have this comment automatically sent to my post drafts so I can turn that comment into a post later. This isn't really the subject of today's lesson, but one of the most common ways to come up with good post ideas is when you're writing comments, think about which ones are, particularly insightful, good topics, things that you want to turn into posts. So I'll reply and like, boom. Let's do one more. That's funny. Messy morning routine. This one's just more lighthearted. So again, what I'm doing is I'm engaging with a specific list. I'm not spending too much time per post. I am writing my own thoughts about what I'm saying in the comments. And that was 3 comments that I did, and I just hit 140 in a few minutes. So, okay, that's some live commenting to show you. By the way, Ibadak asks, what tool are you using? It's useaware.co. But again, whatever tool you use, or if you don't use a tool, that's not so much the point. The tool just can make it faster. But the main point is specific lists of people, if you can, that are intentional. Don't spend too long per comment. Find one thing you want to respond to and make it meaningful. Which brings us to the last part of commenting, which is not the mechanics and the structure, but it's what do you say? What should go in the comment? If you mess this part up and get everything else right, you'll have hurt your brand and wasted time. And why do I say that? Well, the point of commenting is not to do commenting. The point of commenting is to leave an impression, right? You want people to have an impression of you, of what you know how to do, what you believe, what your experience has been, what your relationship is with them, what your relationship is with others, just you as a person and a professional. I don't mean just your personal beliefs. Usually it's not your personal beliefs. It's usually your beliefs about whatever the thing is that you're working on. So if you work in RevOps, it's the things you believe about RevOps, stories from the trenches, so on and so forth. But your comments have to do one main thing, which is demonstrate your credibility. They're not a place to manufacture credibility. You can't create credibility from nothing. They should be based on what you already know how to do, and showing that current existence. They're not saying, I'm going to try to build a brand I don't have through commenting. You're just simply letting everyone know the brand you do have, the reputation you do deserve, that you've worked through over your career through comments. The purpose of commenting, well, people can see it in their feed. They'll see the post and your comment on it, and that is a feed item. So it's not someone's post in the feed, it's the post, but your comment on it is their feed item. So you're going for that, and you want people to see the combination of your comment and that post and think something about you, right? So for me, it might be, my comments might be designed to produce one of a number of impressions. It might be, Alex understands LinkedIn. Alex has driven revenue from LinkedIn. Alex isn't just going to sell me software when I hit him in the DMs. There's a bunch of things I might want to communicate with the comments, but those are all things that lead to my business growing. So the problem then with leaving a comment like great post is it doesn't do any of that. It is a comment. It mechanically gets the action done, but it doesn't get it done to the outcome you want. Right? It would be like cold calling everybody and just gibberishing. That's not the, sure, you made your cold calls, but if you just messed up your pitch, you didn't accomplish the reason for doing the cold call. So think of comments in the same way. They are not a prospecting touch, but think of in the same way as a sales call is not created equal, running a financial model well or poorly is, one gets you the outcome you want, one doesn't. So when you're commenting, you want to be using it as a micro post, a micro touch. It's different than outbound cold call. It's different than a cold email. It's not a cold touch. It's sort of in between a warm touch and a cold one. And it should be designed to produce some sort of true impression of your credibility in a specific industry, helping a certain type of customer achieve a specific outcome. And get creative with this, right? You don't want to be monotone on just, here's what I know how to do. But there's a way for it to be even one step removed from that, to create other things, right? So like with my comments, some might be Alex understands LinkedIn, but leaving comments that imply or demonstrate that I'm not going to pitch everybody is not directly due to the product that I sell, but it's still a good thing that I want people to understand about me because it helps my business grow. So think of the things that are going to help your business grow if lots of people understand about you, and then use comments to sort of track back to that. Commenting on people who you are friends with shows your relationship with those people. So anyone else who has a relationship with your friend is now also see your comment and go, oh, Rick and Alex are friends. So if some people in Rick's audience might be a good fit for Aware, and I comment on Rick's posts, they'll see, we're buds. They'll see my headline. They might check out useaware.co. That happens all the time, actually. It's kind of another lesson on the importance of the headline, but suffice it to say, that's one thing that can happen. So your commenting is a way of increasing your exposure in a good way. So think about what you're saying just as much as how much of it you're doing. Your own asks, what's the data on the ROI of driving traffic to one's profile via commenting? It's not just about driving traffic to your profile. It's also about people. Think of it this way. So some people see your comments a bunch and then DM you. Some people see your comments and then tell their team to reach out to your company. Some people see your comments, go to your profile and do nothing. I don't know how many comments I've written. I would estimate it's something like 100 per week. So if you take 100 per week for, I'll just round it down for vacation time and do by 7 years, I've probably written 35,000 comments. So let's do your ROI calculation. 6.6 million of revenue divided by 35,000 comments is $188 of sales I've earned from LinkedIn per comment. So, is that helpful? I don't know, but it's going to help your post do better. It's going to help your brand do better as well and expand. And that's not like just profile traffic. So don't think of it as linearly as like a funnel from comment to profile to sale. It's more like you're helping hundreds, if not thousands of people get a certain impression of you, including from your comments and also from your posts and also from your DMs and so on. I don't know if that answers your question on the data of the ROI, but the question is not formed correctly. That's not the point, I guess, is I'm trying to say. Thoughts on the etiquette of tagging others in your comments and posts, Jay, assuming that's Jay Adams. Hello. It's the same thing as if you were at a live conference and you were saying, hey, Jay, come over here and meet this guy. Would you do that at a live conference? If so, you can do it in the comments. If that would be weird at a live conference, don't do it in comments. There is not it's a pretty similar etiquette if you just think about social selling as using social skills as you sell, which is one way to look at it. Then I think you have your answer. So do the gut check of like, would I do this in real life? And if you would, then go for it. There's no LinkedIn specific rule around that I would say. Cool. Okay, so we talked about a lot of things. When to do your commenting as your post goes up, how much, try to get 10 or 20 done in the time between your post goes up, who to comment on, targeted people who refer business, people who are in your industry, not just people who are posting clickbait. What do you say? It should be credibility demonstrating. It should be tracking back to something that helps your business grow. And then, the fifth honorary rule is match it to real life as much as possible. Okay, cool. More questions are coming in. Rick, did we get anything specific that you wanted to make sure we cover too?
I think that most importantly is the content that you brought to the table. We have a couple questions that were sent in ahead, but I like to prioritize the people that are here with us. So cool. It seems like Jay's got some more questions for you.
Yeah. How much more power do you get on conversions since you're selling in LinkedIn proximity between your activity and your product? That's a fair question. Probably, I definitely get a boost. This sort of objection comes up often, where it's like, well, if you sell to sales or marketing or whatever, then LinkedIn's better for you. Yeah, true, but by far the majority of what I have sold from LinkedIn is not a LinkedIn specific service. It's either SEO or SDR, other software entirely. So yeah, that's a boost, but it's not like a binary. You'll only do well at LinkedIn if you're selling LinkedIn stuff. It's a boost, but it's not an all or nothing. Um, Basically, don't use that as a limiting belief. Is the point there? How do you start a conversation in the DMs to form those relationships? It depends on what was said. I mean, there's people who on the more direct side of things. It could be when I say direct, I mean like related to your product. It could be somebody who commented on a post about something similar to your product. Maybe their comment indicates that they don't even know your product exists. If you can justify that, it might be okay to leave a note that's something in their DMs. That's something like, "Hey man, saw your comment on Rick's post. Not sure if you're aware of this, and no pressure at all. But if you are still building LinkedIn lists with the main LinkedIn post search tool, we did build a tool that lets you do that more efficiently. There's a free trial here if you want, and also attaching a YouTube video if you want to check it out further. Might save you time. Again, no big deal either way. Just wanted to bring it to your awareness." That's a DM I might send to somebody who has a spreadsheet of people to engage with, and I think, they just don't know where it exists. Might be helpful, but there's a pretty clear story of what happened. That's an example. Something to not do would be like, "Hey, I saw your post about, or your comment on Rick's post about when he vacationed in Patagonia. Do you want to buy my logistics software?" Which is just like no connection, right? So again, would you do this in real life? If in real life you'd be like, "Hey, I noticed this thing," you wouldn't hopefully have this like totally hard left and just change the subject. That would be weird. So don't do it on LinkedIn. It all tracks back to, would you do that in real life? Did you notice something that could help? I sent a DM last night to Conberg Baker, and the message I sent was like, "Man, there's so much gossip being spilled on LinkedIn these days. What the hell?" Because he was tagged in a post that was like super like LinkedIn dramatic. I didn't selling anything. I was just like, "Yeah, this is my reaction. I'm just thinking like, what if we were at a trade show together? What might I say in passing?" That's pretty much the way I view it. So I don't have a rule for DMs. It's just like, make it make sense, have it be relevant. I almost don't want to say have a reason for reaching out, because the reason doesn't need to be a sales reason, basically, is my point. And your own, yes, you're correct. But I do anyway.
I think LinkedIn, it's kind of like a gray area a little bit on LinkedIn, and not at the same time in terms of using
sure.
third-party tools, right? But I like what you said in the last part, where it's like the intention behind reaching out. I think like it's important to try to stay authentic. Everybody who's here has probably gotten a lot of pitch slaps, where you get somebody who connects and you open the DMs like, "Hey, do you want to buy a franchise?" or something like that, and it's like, maybe try to start a conversation, right? You wouldn't walk up to somebody in the street, like Alex said, and do that. We'll have still a couple more minutes left, so if you guys want to drop more questions in the chat, please feel free to. But we do have a couple that were sent in ahead, so maybe we can tackle some of those.
Yeah.
One of the questions that were sent in is, do you have any tips for engaging on LinkedIn as a company page instead of a personal page, or do you just kind of follow the same strategy that you do?
Yes. So sometimes I do comments as the company page, whether I do them in Aware or normally. Sometimes I'll see a post where it makes sense to kind of engage as the company. For example, I might go here and think, your company is awesome. Let others know. This is an opportunity for me to like be cheeky, so I might switch to my company page, and employee testimonials. We'll just do another comment here. Company values. So I'm just going to be cheeky, right? And like, this is a post about your company is awesome. So I kind of see the connection between now I switch to my company page and then I write not as me, but as like the company brand persona. And I'm just going to kind of, whatever your company's brand persona is, you can kind of go with that. So you might not be as cheeky as us. You might be more buttoned up. But just you're looking for opportunities where it, again, makes sense to engage as the company versus as you personally. So least cringy way to get people to follow your company page. I don't put any effort into getting company page followers. I just don't see the ROI much in that. I'm sure there is an ROI and big companies do it, but big companies also have just very big budgets and broad brand awareness efforts. Say that 5 times fast. But for anything sub, 500 employees, I don't see the point. Get them to follow your page, not your company page. Is the answer. So sorry to not answer your question with a non-answer, but that's I wouldn't recommend trying to have that be your goal.
Yeah, even statistically, like if you look at the stats reported, personal pages do a lot better in terms of conversion, conversations, and all the stats that matter compared to company pages. Like if you open a job post on your company page, you're gonna get a ton of followers. Like you might get like 100 per week, depending on what you're doing. But are those people gonna, engage with your content? Are they gonna like be part of the conversation? That's what it really comes down to. Let me throw another one at you that was asked before the webinar. Is it's a little bit about etiquette as well. Do you plug resources that you made on when you're commenting, right? So like, let's say, I think what they mean here is like, do you post like an article from your company when you're commenting? Kind of shameless plug type of thing.
Yeah. Why would you need to be shameless is the question. You can plug, but if it's funny, the people say shameless plug often when they are trying to cover up awkwardness around the fact that the plug was not relevant. So let's say you are looking at a post that talks about the data on LinkedIn text versus video versus image posts. Let's assume that I have finished my article that I have in my backlog that's analyzing 13 million LinkedIn posts and sort of almost irrefutably talking about that data. If the data I have is the best answer to the question that's being posed in the post or in the comments, or it can clear up a misconception, or it's simply the best way to get that information across is to link to the original article, then sure. If the post is about a story of how a company managed their supply chain better with a certain piece of software, and they were able to reduce their inventory on hand by $1 million worth over the 3 months post implementation, and you link to a blog about that doesn't have much information, but is sort of generally about stats about supply chain, the connection isn't justifiable, right? So like, go back to, would you do this in real life? If you're sitting around the conference, room on the little high top table, and someone is just like saying something that doesn't make sense, you're like, let me text you this link. It's gonna make more sense if I just show you the article. If you would do that, then do it in the comments. That said, I usually don't. The point of commenting is usually not to draw traffic to your website, so that should kind of be a last resort, not a default. And then Reem says, are you a fan of automating adding people on LinkedIn? And the first message, I don't do it. I think I did a couple hundred of those a while back. And I say a while, I mean like 7 years ago, when I was very new to LinkedIn. And I was like, ooh, this looks like a way to speed it up. But no, I'm okay with adding people with blank connection requests. That's totally fine. But I usually wouldn't automate the message. Would I ever allow a ghostwriter or VA to comment for you? In theory, but I haven't yet. A lot of people do and do it well. The trick would be to train your ghostwriter, VA, or whoever it is on who you want to support specifically and what you want to say to each one. So the times I've seen that service offering work well as an agency, when you offer that, is to ask the client for a list of 20 people that you actually know and your relationship with them. And then the agency can leave comments in the style you dictate of that. So like if I wanted to, engage with just like overall, supportiveness and celebration on all of Rick's posts because we were on that webinar that one time and it was cool. And I just want Rick's post to do better. So I might have that. And then you could look at that as an external agency and say, okay, it's not that big a deal if I'm not, commenting on Rick and my intimate connection with certain details of our relationship. It's just, leave supportive comments. I'm sure Rick would be okay with that and more okay with that than no comments at all, for example. So if you're going to offer that as a service, then ask the client for details on certain people and how they want to engage with them. That's the way I can kind of see it working. But yeah, don't just do like an AI spam across the board. That's not going to help.
Definitely. And I think with that, we're just about on time, a little bit over, but I think that was fantastic. Well, we have one more question. Okay, can we make time for one more, Alex?
Emerging trends.
That's a tough question,
I don't
Jay.
know. That's too vague. Sorry, I don't have an opinion on that. I am in touch enough with how I communicate that if something is compelling and if it suddenly makes sense to comment using my AR goggles, I'll know it when I see it. And until then, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I know I have more questions, but a great place to find Alex, I'm sure, is on LinkedIn itself. Oh, maybe I'm lagging out a bit. Oh, there we go. I think
we're back.
I froze for a second. We're back. Okay.
Hey.
I'm sure you guys might have a lot more questions. So please reach out to Alex on LinkedIn. Great place to find him, obviously. Check out Aware. It's an incredible tool. I use it. It's really, really amazing. I think you guys should check it out for commenting, for engaging. I'm dropping a link to the chat to our community for GTM leaders if you want to check it out. Pretty fun place to be. Alex, my friend, I really appreciate you coming here to do the lesson with us. It was an incredible one. Everybody who's here is going to get the recording on Monday, sent right to your email. And if you have any additional questions, like I said, reach out to Alex, reach out to me. We got you. Anything you want to say to the people before we close out?
Thanks for coming, dealing with my cantankerous responses to some of the questions. I hope it was helpful.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Alex. And thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll see you guys on the next micro lesson.